we are going to each take part in. The first letter is addressed to Dad, and it comes from London, England. Dad, it's a wonderful moment to reach 80 and to share it with friends and family. Sadly, I couldn't be there to share this milestone with you, but we look forward with great anticipation to our forthcoming visit in August. I'm sure you will have many glowing tributes from so many people today, and I would just like to wrap them all up in a tortilla and agree with them all, just like a massive breakfast burrito with extra cheese. All of us from London send our love and warmest birthday wishes. Of all these years of wonderful advice, I can only thank you from the bottom of my heart. It has made me the person I am today. My only bugbear is that you made me suffer the intolerable embarrassment, the complete and utter fashion disgrace of suggesting to Kate that it is somehow okay, and I use that term very loosely, to wear Crocs in public. Or for that matter, to wear them at all. However, you did redeem yourself by not wearing them to our wedding. Happy birthday. Love from Michael, and happy birthday, Papu. Love from Vincent, and your once almost perfect daughter-in-law, now perfect, Kate.
I've got a couple of greetings from I've got a couple of greetings from important people, not the Prime Minister or the Queen, important people. This is from Krista, Jim's daughter, who lives in Vancouver, or Comox, BC. Dad, it's hard to put into words how much I love you. You are the voice in my heart when I need to make a difficult decision, and your voice always leads me to compassionate and wise solutions when I am a little lost. Your generosity and kindness to everyone around you has not just filled your own life with the joy of being surrounded by family and community, but your spirit lives on in the world I live in. We live far away, but I always feel that a part of you is with me. You taught me that when folks are being inconsiderate or acting out their issues, excuse me, that the solution is always to just lead with kindness and to do the least expected, most generous thing. Because of you, my life is filled with an endless flow of transformative journeys that always lead to a deeper awareness of what really matters in life. You have taught me to love life, to play, to not sweat the small stuff, to share, to create, and to write my own life. And I will always be grateful to you for all of these things. And well, you are just fun and I love you. And I'm so excited to come home this summer and just spend time with you. I will be thinking of you today and having a West Coast Perrier toast with Stella and Eric to celebrate you. Stella wanted to say a few words also. Papu, happy birthday, I love you. Krista, XOXO. And this one is from Jim's foster daughter, Leah, who has lived with their family since her early teen years. And I'll just tell you, she just had a knee replacement in early June, and it's referenced here in this little piece. Seems unreal. You 80. That makes me pensionable. Yup, 65. We have known each other a long time. Just think how many gallons of ice cream and strawberry freezer jam. How many pieces of apple pie and Grammy's bread washed down with Mountain Dew. You are the best pops. Thank you for sharing your favorite nutrition habits. More than anything, I thank you for sharing your open arms and love to me, my Dan and Allie. We wish you the very best of birthdays. Proust, a Dutch toast to your health? Is that a word? P-R-O-S-T? I don't know.
Proust.
Proust?
Proust.
Anyway, the steel reinforced Leah and comrade in wood Dan look forward to seeing you soon. XOXO. Go ahead, Ruth.
Yeah, I'm about to read a little note from Skip, but first I'll go off script.
Nobody's surprised.
There's a surprise.
Being 10 years younger than Jim, I always kind of grew up with him as my model or idol, and it's a wonder that it turned out as well as I did, considering that. But, and I don't want to say I deified him, but I was pleased to hear Joyce say today that he wasn't born in a barn in a manger. confirmed that to us today, so that's a good thing. She also mentioned his musical talent, and this is something that's very rare, and I doubt that any of us have ever been at an occasion where people have talked about Jim's musical acumen. And I want to let you know he comes by it honestly, that our father, although he spent 50 years in church surrounded by music, always claimed that there's only 2 songs he ever recognized: God Save the Queen and Oh Canada, and that's only because everybody stood. So that's true. He comes by it honestly. Joyce also mentioned the Morris Minor a minute ago, and that is one of the things that can you inherit from your brother? I don't know. Anyway, that I have taken from my brother at least. We share a love of Morris Minors, and what Joyce neglected to mention, and Skip can attest to, is that while they were at Mount A, in Jim's final year there, he had a little Morris Minor that was used as the mode of transport for the campus goat. That was the mascot for the university. They had a garnet and a gold horn, and they'd go to the farm and pick it up and bring it back every weekend for basketball games or football games or hockey games. And again, what she neglected to mention, and I've always wondered about, this goat was not house trained. So some poor guy bought a Morris Minor, and I imagine for 2 years he couldn't drive without putting the windows down, thanks to their goat. But
I have to talk about one area, a center section called the washroom.
that's true.
That's where
He
we
was very
kept the
popular
goat.
with the cleaning staff. Yeah. Jim's, that's about as far as we go in terms of our sharing of our automotive experience. As many of you know, and Kerwin attested to, and Wilfred, we lived in terror of him driving anywhere that we might have to go rescue him. And I was thinking on the way in today, and thinking that if the government of Canada keeps a registry of automotive abusers, my brother's name is either very near or at the top of that list. I remember one instance when I was forced to borrow his car, as I was driving my new pride and joy, a little Corvette that I thought was just the cat's meow, and I had to move something bigger than a toothpick, so I had to borrow his gargantuan family sedan that when he goes shopping for it, he had to make sure it would carry at least 15 kids, 2 dogs, and a load of lumber. So it was huge. And we had to move, Heather and I had to move something to our house in Enfield, so we borrowed it for the day. And with great trepidation, I passed over the keys to my Corvette with, a 15-page book of instructions of how to use it and not abuse it and all that sort of thing, and knowing it would be ignored. So we did our errands as quickly as we could, came back to rescue our car, and as I was driving down Bella Vista Avenue, I saw your classic good news, bad news story. The good news was my car was in one piece and coming towards me. The bad news, Jim was there, and 7 kids stacked up. The roof was off the car, so you could see them stacked up as he was coming down Bella Vista Drive. 7 kids in my little car. But anyway, God love them. The other thing I think that many of us, when we think of Jim and the hospitality that you mentioned, we think of PEI and the wonderful times that we've had in PEI, and well, I can't attest to the neighbor still likes him being there, but anyway. Or appreciates the fact that he's gone, maybe now more yet. Anyway, Jim always had a little bit of different take on parenting than most people do nowadays. Nowadays we bubble wrap kids. We put them in car seats with seat belts and straps and safety belts, and if they play in a playground that has to have a rubber foundation in the playground, and if you have a play date, you can't go out on your own, you have to be an organized play date. Well, that's not how my brother James organized things at night. For example, one of his favorite activities would be just to send a bunch of kids out on a giant truck inner tube, and they'd bounce for hours out there. And barring any major blood creating injury, they enjoyed it.
I lived.
Yes. I suspect there were a number of people that have bounced on that into. Other things he would do, not in the child parenting guide for safety. He would, how old do they have to be to drive a scooter? 7?
Yeah.
12. Oh, 12.
Now, yeah.
Only 4 years younger than the legal requirement. And who hasn't gone on a scooter ride? Just as a matter of interest, how many people have ridden on one of Jim's scooters in PEI? Look at that. Isn't that amazing?
Can we do that again? I want to take a photo. That's insane. Let's do that again. Show of hands. 71st birthday. That's crazy.
But I think the ultimate of the safety-related things in PEI had to be the trailer rides. If you remember the trailer rides, I see some snickering already. Jim's idea of a nice, safe afternoon with the kids would be to take everybody to the dump in the old dirt trailer, but then on the way back, pile all the kids in the trailer and go down Wildcat Road and hit every pothole he could find and swerve as much as he could and see how many he could throw out. Now, what could go wrong with that? It's kind of like the bonfires. They can be seen from space with the shuttle. It's huge bonfires with little kids, 5 hours past their bedtime, out watching drunks play guitar and having a good time. Perfect parenting. That's what it is. Yeah.
Don't forget the torches.
Oh, yeah.
Bulrush torches.
Bulrush torches that set most of the island on fire several times. But that's another story.
Get the gasoline.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that Jim wasn't as good at, and is Reed Harrison here? I don't think he is.
No,
He's in Scotland.
He's in Scotland. Reed! No. Reed Harrison can attest to this, that Jim, although he had all the characteristics that Joyce talked about in terms of dealing with people and that warmth and generosity, he wasn't quite as keen on the administrative part of the job. He was, okay, he hated it. and never felt he was very good at it, nor that it was very important. That the most important thing was dealing with the kids and supporting his teachers. But this became very frustrating to a guy like Reed, who really did have a pretty highly tuned sense of administration and order. And I remember, and this happened right up until his final day of teaching. Jim was supposed to send a resignation letter in because the board would require it. They have to know how many teachers they're going to be hiring next year and have an official notice of retirement party or retirement notices going out. And he was after Jim for ages to send this in, and Jim said, yeah, whatever, Reed. I told you I'm going to retire. Just put it down for me. He said, no, you've got to write a letter. Okay, I'll write a letter. The next morning, the shortest letter in the history of Dartmouth School Board appeared on Reed's desk. And it said, I quote, verbatim, "Dear Reed,
No,
I
dear.
quit,
No,
Jim."
Reed, I quit, Jim.
Sorry, I embellish it with a deer. One of the things that Polly said years ago, and I remember it when we were in Portugal, that Jim has a great spirit, and that spirit comes out of him to all his friends. And it's a spirit of hospitality, and it was something that Shelley had to adjust to for sure, because that hospitality extended probably to most people here and many others, to the point that Shelley once told me that she's living in a goddamn commune. Never closed. Jim has always been a great friend, as Joyce had mentioned. And today I wanted to do a little something just as a remembrance of that, and I couldn't think exactly what it was. I am getting the Skip's letter, honest. And I thought of two things that I have in my office that I've had, those of you who've been in my office may have seen little plaques I have on the wall. And I've had them there for years and years. In fact, one of them was on our father's office, and it's been there since I remember going into that office. and it said, "Keep your temper, nobody else wants it." But then I thought about it saying, what's that got to do with Jim? I've never seen him lose his temper. So I put that one back in my pocket and said, no, I'm not going to give him that one. But the other one was given to me probably 15 years ago by my brother. And it says, "There is no better friend than a brother, and there's no better brother." So I'd like to give it to you. And now at long last we get to skip.